that person really broke my heart. Thank God. I wish I had let go of that pain sooner. I wish I had maybe not painted some red flags green, or, I wish I had responded to and we have to be accountable. Like, I wish I had responded to this better. I wish I had more assuredness and self-confidence to walk away knowing I wasn't being treated the way I deserve to be treated.
What's going on? Welcome back to the She's of the Band podcast here on KNOTFEST. I am joined by my country metal yeehaw queen, Dorothy. How are you?
Hi. I'm good. Happy Valentine's Day. Well, that's tomorrow, but we're going to celebrate it early.
I love that. I'm a Leo, so I celebrate a birthday week. We do a Valentine's week. Every holiday, it's a whole week.
Wait, is this your month? Is this the Leo month?
It is not
No,
quite yet. There's
not.
something with a full moon in Leo, though, which terrifies me. I don't know what that means,
I
but
don't know what it means either. Well, we'll see what happens.
we will see. We will see. But how are you? I'm sure you're booked busy promoting the album, doing
Yes.
interviews.
Yes,
How's
it's a
that
busy
been?
week. I'm at the Rock Nation office in LA. I've been doing back-to-back Zooms and interviews and filming stuff. It's really good. It's good. It's time to grind, I guess. This album's about to drop.
I know. I mean, it's a really exciting era for you. It feels like you are just the gal of metal right now. Like everywhere I turn, it's you. And I mean, just dropped the song with Slash as well. So how does it feel like I know this album has been a work in progress for a while. So now seeing the fruits of your labor and seeing the response to everything.
Oh my gosh, it's so exciting. The video for Tombstone Town, I think, just dropped worldwide yesterday, and I'm
Yeah.
so proud of it. We had a lot of fun shooting that. So I've always wanted to like do a little bit of acting, and the story comes from a real life experience, so that makes it, good. It's worthwhile that you can turn, heartache into art, which is great. So, and it's definitely one of the most fun songs on the album for me. And I
Yeah.
can't wait to play it live. I know we have a show at the El Rey Theater in LA, March 21st, and Slash is going to be there. So it'll be my first time performing that song with him.
Wow. No big deal. And you also, was it at the Troubadour last year that Slash also came out, but that was for Gifts from the Holy Ghost?
That's correct. Was that last
Whew.
year?
It
Wow. Yeah, it was
was.
the Holy Ghost. Yes, the Troubadour. It was so much fun.
That wasn't a Dorothy trivia moment, but it kind of felt like it for a second. I was like, am I gonna
Really?
get these facts right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, man, it feels longer than a year. I don't even know. Time just is flying by. But
Isn't it?
yeah, so I ended up doing he said yes. I said, "Hey, I did the blues song on your record. What do you think about doing a solo on my record that we're wrapping up? I'd love to have you on a song." And I sent him a bunch, and that's the one he picked. And I'm glad he did because that's the one I wanted him to do.
It's a badass track. And how did you end up first like becoming a collaborator with Slash? And what is that? I mean, that's just so otherworldly for a gal like me to even think about, you know?
It all
Very
came
cool.
through, yeah, it all came through his producer, Mike Klink, who asked me to do a Triumph tribute track. And, he produced Guns N' Roses. So then Slash asked me to do Key to the Highway for his blues record. And then I was like, all right, well, what do you think about hopping on one of mine? So, it's the give and take. It's great. It's how it should be. We all kind of support each other. So it's
Now you're
very cool.
equals pequals. Yeah, on the collaborations.
Well, I
Well, who's
mean,
keeping tabs?
he's a legend. Let's just say that. He is, and he's as kind and humble and down to earth as he is a massive legend.
Wow. And that's rare to come by too. So,
It is a lot of people, they're just walking around with broken souls and bitterness and maybe egos, and maybe you never know what someone's going through. And it's even the biggest stars that you meet, they're humans too. So it's just about where you're at in your journey, I guess. And he happens to be a very cool person. I was very, very pleasantly surprised.
yeah, I mean there's so much in a lot of what you've just said I want to dive into, and we will bounce around in this interview, no doubt. But I actually do want to talk about the fact that Tombstone Town, like you said, is based on a personal story. It is a personal song for you. I even read in the press release, it said that it was an excerpt from your diary, which is very
Yeah.
vulnerable, very personal. How do you know what is good to share, what you want to divulge to the public or in your music versus what you actually need to keep or want to keep to yourself? Because I feel like, especially with social media and everything the way it is, those lines get so difficult. And I mean, your music is a good place to put those things. But how
That's
do you
right. So
decide?
So, like, an excerpt from my diary is a metaphor for this really happened. And so the diary
Yeah,
is the song, right? And if it makes its way into a song, I know I'm probably going to be asked about it. So I have to be comfortable talking about it.
that's
Um,
true.
and I'm pretty much an open book. So yeah, it was just hey, listen to the bridge. I think it tells you everything that you need to know. And I didn't know how I was going to deal with the emotions, but the great thing about being a songwriter is you can go through horrible shit and then make it into a song. And the great thing about that is that there are so many other people that have suffered from that or gone through what you've gone through, and they can resonate and they get something out of the song. So it was just like it was therapeutic, so get the anger and the betrayal and the angst out, and I'm fine. It's okay. And
Good.
look, it was actually, it far exceeded my expectations. For such a brutal thing to go through, what a fun song that came out of it.
I'd agree. I feel like you very productively used the heartbreak, the energy, the anger, and not only that, but I really felt it in the music video. Like the way it was this like revenge story, Tarantino-esque film noir, like you really leaned into it there.
It was a lot of fun. I wanted to do something theatrical, cinematic. So we gave it the grindhouse element, and that kind of came towards the end. I had a great team. They were amazing. And I got to narrate some of the beginning, which I was nervous to do, but somehow pulled it off. And then we had some great actors. It was fantastic. It was just really cool. And at the very end, I wanted to do a plot twist because I realized what's the greater message here? So rather than being stuck in that, vengeance and anger and bitterness and resentment because of my life and the way I try to live, and I don't get it perfect, I'm a human, is forgiveness, forgiving people that have hurt you, praying for your enemies, blessing those who curse you. And so at the end, the main character, she decides to walk away. And so that was the bigger message.
Yeah, I loved that twist, and I love they were like watch till the end for the plot twist because it like it would have been the easy way out to stick to the vengeance
Exactly.
storyline, but it's so much
Yeah.
more wise because then you are kind of reclaiming your own power instead of giving it to someone else
Correct.
too.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the character, she is dealing with her feelings throughout the song, and then you think she took him out in the middle, and that the director wanted to keep that clip. I was like, that's a little violent. Oh. But he wanted to keep that clip, and I said, okay, well, hear me out. What if that's in her imagination, right? And then at the end, surprise, she has mercy on him, which she's been bitching about not having mercy on him the whole song.
Right. No, it's literally perfect. And actually, I thought of kind of a fun question too, because I want to tie this back to the overarching themes of The Way, which is the album that's coming out in March 14th. And so if that whole album were a film, kind of in the same way that Tombstone Town had its own little film, what would be the plot and who's playing you?
Okay. Well, here I have this, right? I have the CD.
Ah, there
Here's
it
the track
is.
thing, and there's the little CD.
Oh,
Um,
looks so good.
you know what? If it was a story, it would be the story of salvation because that's what this album's about. That's what happened to me in my life. I got saved in rehab. I went to rehab in Nashville, and is it's really when I got like really close to God. So my faith comes first, God comes first, then it's recovery, then it's like family, health, and music. And I have to keep it in that order. Otherwise, if I don't, my life will fall apart. So the way I got the title from reading the Bible, and I was reading about the road to Damascus. It's a story where Saul is a character in the Bible who gets suddenly struck blind because he had been decapitating Christians and persecuting them. And so when I read the line, it's just the guy was evil, like he was a murderer. But he ended up turning around, and when I read the line, Saul was persecuting those that belonged to the way. I got chills and I highlighted it, and I just knew that's the title to my album. Didn't have the song yet, didn't know what it was about, had no idea. And I sent it to my team and I said, I think I want to name this album The Way. So that's how the title came about. So I think that's the overarching message is from darkness to light and salvation, starting over.
Yeah, that's one heck of a storyline for this potential movie, no
Feels
doubt.
like a
And
movie, right?
yeah, and what actress would play you in this hypothetical hypothetical film?
Oh my gosh, if I was to, I don't know. Who, no idea. No, someone funny, hopefully. Someone who's kind of dark but has a good sense of humor.
I'm not a film expert. I was kind of hoping you were, so I don't have suggestions, but you know what? This leaves it to whoever's listening can leave a comment, share their
Yeah,
two
we're open to
cents.
suggestions. In the meantime, I'll just keep making movie-esque music videos.
Which honestly, you are the star. We don't need another star.
They're fun.
You.
They're super fun. It's an outlet for sure.
Yes. And actually kind of talking about, I know you were saying how your faith has to take precedence over your music and your wellness is really the most important thing. And something that strikes me as really interesting and exciting about you is the way you're also debunking that old school rock and roll reputation of like
Oh,
sex,
sex,
drugs,
drugs, and
rock and
rock and
roll.
roll.
There it is. Exactly. Like
Yeah, because
that's
they
what we
all
think of when
started
we think of
dying.
rock music.
Exactly. Everyone started overdosing and dying, and then people started to realize like this stereotype sucks, And there's this
Right.
disease of addiction. So addiction, if you don't know, alcoholism is a disease. It's a disease. It's like you look at someone who has cancer and you feel for them. You're like, this is not a bad person. Our disease of alcoholism causes us to behave in ways that are really traumatic for our friends and family, and ourselves. And it's just a disease that I would not wish on my worst enemy. It's too much to get into, but I've really learned so much about it. And I've been, I was in and out for years. And so that's like something that I would love to raise awareness about. And I love that I'm surrounded by my colleagues and peers in the music industry who are sober, like Slash and Jacoby, and people who really have such amazing testimonies and stories. And we do recover. So I just have to take it one day at a time. I have an amazing sponsor, and it is what it is. I didn't want to admit it for the longest time. And I have to live my life with a spiritual toolkit. Otherwise, it just falls off the rails, man. And it goes to really dark places.
Yeah, I have so much respect for you for the bravery it takes to be that example for other people too, and even for yourself, that it is so possible to be a credible rock star and to fully embody being a talented musician and rock star and in a way that is healthy and safe and like stable for you because you don't need any of the sex, drugs, rock and roll to be that. They're not synonymous at all.
Right. No, in fact, if we're going to make it on tour, we have to be healthy, well rested, and in a good state of mind.
Yes.
A tour in and of itself is just this whole other animal, and it's so taxing. It requires a lot of you. So you just have to stay centered
Yeah.
and take care of yourself,
And I'm
And I
glad
know
you have good
a lot of
people
the
around you.
a lot of the young bands out there, they're probably partying their asses off. It's like, woof, wait a decade. See if you can still do it. You can't.
Yeah, no, you see what happens to those bands after even just a few years. They're run down. So I'm glad we get a whole lot of Dorothy for a very long time and you are healthy and happy and all of the things. Yes. And I love the term you use, spiritual toolkit. Because I know that you had said in another interview that you feel like you're really living fully when it comes to travel, exploration, living your dreams, and even like all of that is possible because of your spiritual toolkit. So, what practices are in your daily life that you think really bring you fulfillment, gratitude, peace, those things?
I really try hard not to be selfish and self-centered and self-seeking because that's like the root of our disease. And so when I start getting that way, I really have to check myself and like turn it around. Okay, well, how can I be of service? How can I serve God or another human being today? And having a sponsor for me, going to 12-step meetings, and they're on Zoom. There's a wonderful women's 12-step meeting that is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week
Wow.
with a Zoom link, and you can literally, if you're up at 3 a.m. and can't sleep and having anxiety or nightmares, or you feel like picking up a drink or a drug, you can get on this meeting at 3 o'clock in the morning and you'll be talking to sober women from all over the world, which is so amazing. And I have the link. I keep it in my notes. I have it within, if I can reach for a drink, I can reach for my phone and get on the Zoom. It's the same distance. It's just the choice that I make in the moment, right? Just staying fit, trying to eat well, and lots of prayer and meditation. That's the secret for me.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And I also really never considered too how technology has made it so much more accessible to have help literally at your fingertips. That's a huge
Right.
resource.
One of
That's
the good
awesome.
things that came out of the pandemic, is because a lot of people in the recovery community were like, how the hell are we going to make it? We
Yeah.
used to meet in person and go to meetings and fellowship. And so everyone started getting on Zoom and, so you have that. What I try not to get into is the habit of just relying on that and falling back on that. It's good to get out of the house and get some sunshine and go face to face with people and be, in a room with people. So I try not to isolate because that's what this disease wants. It wants you to isolate.
Yeah. Yeah, that's huge. And another way that you were saying being of service is also hugely important to you. And I really think from what I can gather, this album is another way that you are really being of service to people. Just even in what the whole message of the album is. The press release it said, this album is a love letter to the fans, letting you know everything is going to be okay and we'll help each other find the way, even if we get lost at times. And just the solace that you're able to provide your fans is so beautiful. I mean, I could even sit here and say, like, Gifts from the Holy Ghost is still my go-to album in the gym. When I'm struggling, that's the one. No, I swear to you, Dorothy. And you're really kind of continuing that energy with this album too. So, what matters more to you when you are writing music? Is it the way it makes you feel, or are you thinking more about how it's going to make your listeners feel?
Um, Definitely it's not about me. There's a bigger picture. Of
Yeah.
course, I pay attention to how it makes me feel and when you're in the writing and creative process, but I always try to keep in mind, the ripple effect is this going to have, what's it going to do? So I always try to keep that in mind and then just the rest I leave up to, the whatever the bigger plan is.
Yeah. And the bigger plan is you are on the radio nonstop. You're on
Thank
my
God.
playlist nonstop, just crushing it. Well, it
Thank
just
God.
goes to show it is resonating just as much with you as with whoever's listening. So,
Well, I'm
yeah,
so
and
grateful.
good. Yeah, of course. And two, thinking about the healing power of music, because that's really what this comes down to, is how much music can help people feel like they're not alone or they feel heard. It makes me realize you must have some experiences with that too. Being able to write music like that, it doesn't come from nowhere. So, what songs or artists have been able to do that for you when you needed that metaphorical hand to hold?
Oh my God, I'm gonna cry. Feeling Heard is a big one. There's some
Yeah.
Sade songs that have really touched me, Um, I'll Be There Holding You Tight, that her lyrics are so beautiful. I Will Always Love You, Dolly Parton, but then Whitney Houston's version would make me cry like a little baby. So yeah, I mean, there are some beautiful women in music that have held my hand through this journey.
Yeah, I'm so touched that you also really understand what that is because sometimes you could be so alone, but then you hear that one song that just like hits your soul in the right way, you know? Yeah,
Well, it's
yeah.
Valentine's Day, so there's going to be tears.
I know. Okay, what's the moon doing? We got to check the horoscopes. Is everyone okay?
What are my hormones doing?
No, I feel it too. I feel it too. And it's such a beautiful gift that you've been able to do that for other people too. And even just the way you're so emotional right now tells me what an authentic artist you are. Like you
Thank
live
you.
this. You
Thank you.
live
Oh,
this.
yeah. Hey, and it hurts sometimes. It's not easy. It's like this. But then you look back and go, what's the story of my life going to be? We don't always know why we're here. And they say, I hear this in recovery a lot, like life is understood, lived backwards. Like you live it forward and then you look back and go, oh, that's why I went through that thing. So, I there's a saying also, a lot of great sayings in recovery. We walk by faith and not by sight. So keep walking.
Wow. That's huge. And even just thinking about how hindsight is always kind of 2020 in your understanding of your life, do you feel like there have been moments on your journey that maybe didn't make sense at the time that you look back now, or even like songs you've
Yes.
written that are clearer to you now than when you released them?
Yes, or like that person really broke my heart. Thank God. Because you look back and you're like, that wouldn't have worked. That was not it. Thank God.
Yeah.
I wish I had let go of that pain sooner. I wish I had maybe not painted some red flags green, or, I wish I had responded to and we have to be accountable. Like, I wish I had responded to this better. I wish I had more assuredness and self-confidence to walk away knowing I wasn't being treated the way I deserve to be treated. So, you know. So I've had, yeah, I've had a lot of those eye-opening moments.
Now my heart is like sinking into my stomach at those words because I've been there too, 100%. Yeah. But that also that's how you build your worth and kind of build the wisdom. You have to sometimes just go through it, you
Yep.
know? I even
Yep.
remember our last interview, you were in a totally different spot. Like I remember you were like you've come such a long way. I could see the glow up in you. Just
Oh, thank
yeah.
you.
I'm serious, yeah. And
What spot was I in? Dang.
no, you weren't in a bad spot, but I could just see the growth, you know?
Thank you. That's
Yeah.
sweet.
And I want to talk about the Miss Yeehaw country. I know I said it kind of jokingly, but it's so real right now.
It is.
Started
It's
with
so
mud.
funny. Oh my gosh, no, it didn't. It started with Gun in My Hand on Rock is Dead. Come
Oh my
on.
God, you're so right.
Yeah, and I was
It's
like,
always
hey,
been there.
it's always been there. And I was like, hey, Scott Stevens, I think there's going to be a big country trend. What do you think? And this was like 2 years ago. And we're talking about this and we're like totally we're feeling like this sea change in I don't know, it's like an intuitive thing. We felt it coming. And I grew up with Creedence Clearwater Revival. I learned how to sing country first. Then I went and got voice lessons, tried opera. Like I went on this whole crazy journey. But it's always been in there. And so that soulful Southern thing has always felt right to me. So we just cranked it up on this album a little bit. That's all.
You dialed it up to 11,
Oh
as
yeah.
the Spinal Tap gang would say. You really did, though. I mean, and it feels so like authentically you, like your voice just lends so well. I mean, it makes sense that you grew up listening to that. What's interesting though is you're Los Angeles based, born in Budapest. How the
Mhm.
heck did you get so involved in country? Because like culturally it wouldn't be my first guess of like what you would get into.
Um, I think the stuff I listened to growing up, I mean, you have Canadian artists like Corey Marks doing country music, and I wouldn't call myself a country artist, but I love outlaw country. I love Johnny Cash, Dolly Parton. I love her.
The Queen.
So, but I also just I love Southern rock and gospel and blues. And so I think it's just in there. It just made its way in there. And how I enunciate, I have no idea. It feels right. I don't know. I mean, it's maybe offensive. I walk around my house talking in a Southern accent. It's weird. I know. I
I
don't
don't
know.
think that's
Feels
offensive.
right.
Lean into
Oh,
it.
God.
Do you
No,
ever see
I'm
yourself?
joking.
No, yeah. Do you ever see yourself doing like a full country crossover? Do you think you'll always like stick to the
No,
rock thing? Not that
I
you have to
don't think that
choose
would be
anymore, but
I don't think that would be I don't think that would be genuine if I was to go like full. I I think it would be, a southern flavored rock and roll, and that's what kind of we're doing. There's a song on this album called Unholy Water, and it's got these distorted slide guitars, and the 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 chorus. It just sounds like a dirty southern rock, hard rock song, and it's about, you know, it's actually it's crazy. It was inspired by I was married to a guy who literally worshipped the devil when
oh,
I was 21, but the person just really messed me up badly. So I think it's got a touch of that history in there, and but it has a southern rock kind of flavor to it.
word. You've gotten yourself in some interesting situations, ma'am.
Did I get in them or was I supposed to be in them? I have no idea.
It's the question I ask myself every day as I
How
reflect on
did
my
I get
life.
here? What is going on?
They always say like what's meant for you is yours, but I'm like, was that really necessary?
You know what I think we have free will as human beings and God will allow things. But I don't think he'll waste a tear. That's what I think, like
Mm,
did that thing have to happen to you? Did you make a bad decision? Where's your choice in this? And how did you participate in this? But I don't think that, our creator wants us to suffer, but he'll use it. Like
mm,
he'll use it later on down
true.
the at least I pray that every day. I'm like, don't waste a single tear because
Yeah.
be a shame.
That's a great way to think of it though, so that there's sort of like a purpose to the madness, you know?
Yeah. Well, it helps
Yeah.
me get through life anyway.
Yeah. I'm taking that with me.
Good, take that good nugget, take it with you.
Anyone listening, if you have a devil worshiping man testing you, you could take that too. I hope not though. And okay, so you're talking about like some of this country twang on the album. Which song on the album do you think is going to get me riding a mechanical bull first?
Tombstone Town.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Like Tombstone Town is you're writing something and you've got pistols and it's just, a hat. Like that's the fun one.
I've got like little spurs on the back of my boots.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I can envision it now.
I
And
might
I
get some
mean,
spurs.
we talked a little bit about your collaborations, and I think that's something that makes your career also so interesting is the fact that you really embrace collaboration with other musicians and producers. You've had Slash, Stained, Nita Strauss, like that's just to name a few. And I think above all, this really shows me how small and interconnected this music scene is. And
Yeah.
being in LA, who's the most interesting or unsuspecting person you've been able to talk shop with?
Hmm. Let me think about that. That's a good one. Well, I mean, Slash is fantastic. He's wise, he's kind, he's humble, he's down to earth, he's very supportive. And he was like, don't self-sabotage. And I'm like, you're right, brother, I won't. So he gives me good advice and he's very supportive. So he was really cool to interact with. He is very cool to interact with. I mean, Nita, I love her. That's my girl. She's so wonderful. She's so sweet and kind. And Macy Gray was a lot of fun to talk to. She was just a character. She was so fun to talk to. I ran into her at a festival a few years back and we jumped on a golf cart and she took me on a joyride through the grass. It was crazy.
Wait,
So
what?
I've just had some wild experiences. It's random.
This is what happens when you're at a festival and you put the golf cart in other people's hands.
Well, she stole it. I'm sure she did. I don't think she asked permission.
I was gonna say, I feel like if I saw that, I'd be like, is that supposed to? I'm a stickler for the rules, though. I probably would have put an end to that.
Man, you're not supposed to steal that.
Like I'm an interviewer slash like traffic cop all of a sudden. And when we got on this Zoom, the first thing was, girl, your hair, girl, your makeup. You look amazing. I feel like you are a fashion icon in the rock scene.
Oh, thank
I
you.
really do feel that. I mean, when you walk on with like the like vinyl leather pants, the jackets, the chains, like you just have such a signature style. What are the most game-changing beauty routines or mindsets around fashion that kind of define your look in particular?
Well, looking back at old pictures, going, what the hell was I thinking when I wore that? It helps a lot. Don't Google yourself. It's not good for you. But just whatever I feel good in. I like my wardrobe a little dark, even though I don't think I'm a dark person, but it's sexy and makes me feel like a badass. And so I'm gonna wear it, and just be you. And don't be afraid to try things. Like I experiment and try things. I go through phases all the time. And which is good and bad because sometimes you're like, why did I pick that? Why am I wearing that? And the pictures last forever online. So that was stupid. But hey, it's just clothes. Who cares? Just have fun.
True. You just got to experiment and try it out, see what feels good.
Yeah.
What looks are you referring to on Google though? Just yeah, like
No,
what are we talking here?
I don't know. There was like a crochet top that had no business being on my body. It might have
Okay.
been a nip slip. Just just bad. Like, yeah, yeah. There's some bad choices I've made.
In
Um,
your defense, you've also had a 10-year career and fashion trends have changed a lot in 10 years. Well, more than 10
all.
years.
And no one was looking out for me. No one's like, ma'am, you might want to cover up a little bit, ma'am. No one was helping me. I was just figuring it out. So here we are. And I think I've settled into my vibe.
And you do have to also consider looking good, but also, like you said, wardrobe malfunctions on stage are a real thing. So you have
Oh,
to
yeah.
also make sure everything's like
Yes.
safe.
And there's tape. There's literal pasties you can put over your nips and, cover. I like to be covered up. That's just me. That's how I feel comfortable. I'm wearing pants. This is great. I used to not wear pants. So now I'm wearing pants.
That also helps. And also, you're more
Oh my
agile in the pants. You
Yeah,
could do
yeah,
anything
you feel more comfortable. You just, you're all bundled up. So,
for sure. And I really did a deep dive on quite a lot of interviews prior to this. And one thing that was actually you had quoted from saying last year, but is more timely than ever right now, is you had spoken about streaming services needing to fairly compensate artists. And you also
uh-huh.
talked about like artists needing to unionize and just kind of like support each other in having sustainable careers. And Chappell Roan really ruffled some feathers with her Grammy acceptance
Mm,
speech, really brought that back to the forefront. And I want to kind of look at this in a productive way because I know a lot of artists look up to you, especially in rock and in country now. So for anyone who's kind of in that come up of those difficult early days and maybe don't have the support from like the suits at the moment, what advice do you have for those kind of trying moments in the industry to support yourself, pay the bills, and build a career?
yeah. Well, we have been forced into a position where we have to tour. Okay. And that's just how long can you do that for, and it depends on the economy and how much the gas is, and touring is expensive. But so merch sales are important, ticket sales are important. So we have to tour, right? It's not like the 90s where people would buy physical, CDs by the millions, and then the artists got it. And they were still probably getting screwed back then. I mean, think about it. The labels were probably taking a massive cut, but it's streaming has definitely changed things. I stand by what I say, and I think artists definitely need to support each other. And it's unfortunate, I think that the streaming companies, here's the thing, there's good and bad. They expose us to a wider audience. I think they could fair out the percentages a little more.
I concur. Maybe more than like 1 cent per
Yeah,
stream would be.
maybe a little more than that. Yeah.
Let's up it to at least 2 cents, okay? We're not asking for much.
I think it should be 50-50.
Yeah, yeah. And
There.
where do you kind of see things going? Like there has been quite a shakeup with like what Chappell Roan did at the Grammys.
Oh, I'd have to dive into that. I
Yeah,
didn't, I checked out of the Grammys this year.
fair
But
play.
yeah, but I don't know. We'll see where it goes. Who knows? Anything is possible.
Yeah, well, let's hope at least just being vocal and being able to speak out about it. It looks like there's some change happening. So fingers crossed for more because we all deserve it. Yeah.
Right.
Well, anything else you want to say on the album? I mean, as of the time we're filming this, you got a month to go till it's out.
Oh, okay, yeah, The Way drops on March 14th. Los Angeles, we have a show at the El Rey Theater on March 21st. Slash will be joining us for a few songs. And then we hit the road in April with our first show in Nashville. I'm hitting the road with Corey Marks, and it's our headlining tour. So come check it out, and we'll see you there.
So excited. And I'll see you at Welcome to Rockville as well. We haven't actually met in person. Like,
Oh my
let's go.
God.
It's about
Let's go.
time.
That's the last stop on the tour. Perfect. What a great way to
Amazing.
wrap up the tour.
I am your grand finale of the tour
Yes, I cannot wait.
and Daytona. So buckle up.
Valentine's date. Let's go.
Let's go. Well, thank you so much, Dorothy.
Thank
Such a
you.
pleasure to have you back. And I know everybody who listens to this podcast just adores you. So,
Oh, hi
yeah.
everyone. Thank you. It's
And
very
so nothing but success to you with The Way, March 14th. And to everybody listening, make sure you're tuning in here on KNOTFEST every other week for She's with the Band. Bye, y'all.
bye.